Hi my friends, this is a story about the fortress Louisbourg, and the story is told by a soldier, and they tell how they recruit the new soldier and how they come to Canada. That was originally a French fortress. Now it's just a historic site. You can go to the website I left at the beginning and check about fortress in Canada. I hope you enjoyed that video, and took me a long time for put together, and was a beautiful site, a beautiful scenario, and I hope you watch until the end. And if the end you think I deserve a like, please do so, and if you think I deserve your subscription, I thank you for that. Sorry Brazilian friends, all in English, but you see the translation.
I'm going to pass you over to the artillery person, Miguel. He'll do that for them 10 or 12 minutes. Yeah?
So how are you today?
Good.
Great.
Good.
Well, welcome to the Fortress Louisbourg. I'm Lagarde, and I'm an artillery sergeant and soldier that would be in charge of the cannons here. You're sitting on the step of a guardhouse, which is an 18th century police station. So soldiers in blue, that man over there, he'd be an infantry soldier who's recruited from the streets of France. He'd be enticed by recruiters that would go through the streets, like Port Townsend and that. Not a lot of family contact, but good shape in that, and want a new life basically. So you come to this place, and after enticed by, again, the recruiter, he would give you a few drinks, and you're 16 years old and healthy in that, and you're thinking, well, I mean, after he tells you you're going to get a place to stay, some food supplies, you're going to have a job, you're going to be, well off, pretty well, because you're going to make 9 livres a month, which is £9, which is quite a bit of money for a young fella. And he tells you the streets are paved with gold, wine, women, songs, that kind of thing. Entices them, have another drink, that kind of thing. So after a few drinks, he says, where do I sign? And of course he can't sign his name because he's too illiterate. He'd just put an X on the paper basically, and that would be it. But the recruiter knows who he is and where he's from and all the particulars on him. So once you put that X on the paper, you're in for 6 years. Mm-hmm. You're signed up for 6 years, so there you are. Right off the bat, you're getting on a ship, you're coming over to the new world. You don't know exactly how far it is. You certainly don't think it's 4 to 6 weeks, as it is. So if you make it, you get here and you're given a uniform. And the uniform would look like the soldier here. Mm-hmm. Infantry, company French soldier. The full uniform would be like that soldier up there with the gray on. I have an artillery soldier outfit on, so I'd have the red outfit and the blue over it, so our colors of battle are blue and gray. So you get here, you get that uniform, and here you are. You're signed on for 6 years. And your place to stay is the right half of that barracks, the lower class. You would get sergeant, corporal, soldiers, musicians, Swiss Career Regiment, and so on would live on the right half. That's the lower class portion. The other side would be the clergy, the captain, officers' quarters, and then the governor of our colony. Mm-hmm. So this would be your military installation. Now, this building you're sitting on would be a guardhouse, and what it is essentially is a police station. There would be 5 of these in the town. This side would be for the corporal and sergeant and soldiers and musicians. This side would be for the officer of the day. He's not going to come in here and stay there all day. He'll come and go, and the sergeant will be over there maybe checking the fire and moves. That's all from elsewhere, right? So your food supplies, your clothing, everything right down to the straw in your mattresses is important. So again, you have these guys coming in off ships after being a trip from France. You know how long it takes? 4 to 6 weeks. So that you may not even make it as a soldier. You might die on the ship or something. It's not like some people where you're sitting on the deck of the ship in your lawn chair, right? Looking at the stars, smoking your clay pipe. No, these guys would be down the hold of the ship with the animals and all the cargo and that. So they were kept busy right from the time they put their X on the paper. They're in the military. So now again, you'd have a lot of places where these ships would come and to drop the cargo off, and they come in to drink. And they're not going to head back to the ship, because if they fall in the water, there's a good chance they're going to drown, isn't it? Because they're not really big swimmers. So the thing is, soldiers. So again, you're here, you get a place to stay, you get food supplies, you make money and so on. So when you're here, you make money as £9 a month, as I told you, the recruiter said he would make. And he makes £9, which is pretty nice. You get food supplies. Every 2 weeks you get 56 ounces of salt beef, 56 ounces of dried vegetables. So that would accumulate to about 4 ounces of each per day. So 4 ounces of that is not very much. So 8 guys would make a soup or stew, so they'd get a few bowls of that during the course of the day. And that would be very good for them, kind of, but not enough. And you'd get firewood, and you'd have a 19-foot square room, and you'd have 24 guys living out of that. 3 assigned to each bed.
Wow.
It's pretty bad, but 1/3 of the garrison's out on duty, so 8 of those guys would be out at one of the 5 guardhouses in the town. All down here would have been our town and our fortifications and so on. So you'd be on duty there. So now, that would be your job for one day. 4 o'clock today, 4 p.m. to 4 p.m. So that would be your cycle of military duty. Then you're off for 2 days.
This is a picture from the fortress and the police station and the soldier with the uniform.
You pull the trigger, this flint, remember I said it's a flintlock?
Yeah.
This is the lock plate, this piece of flint. This flies ahead, causing a spark to go into the pan and set the charge off. Burns through a small hole in the vent, in the breech, little hole. That sets off your main charge. Now if you're lucky, and the weather's nice like a day like today, it's a good chance it'll go off. Although this wind can easily, like that, empty your pan. Just the wrong gust at the wrong time, boom, it's empty, so then you gotta go get another cartridge, fill it up, but you'd have a powder horn too, which would be this, which looks like a little flask for drinking, but no, that was a powder horn, powder keg. So yeah, accuracy is about 50 yards, 150 feet, or 50 meters. That's about from here to the end of the building, down there approximately, you could hit a target. So your target's not there, is it? Your enemy's not that close.
No.
So when you'd be firing in embouteille ranks, like all in lines, right? So you'd fire on a 45-degree angle volley up like that, and that would send the ball hundreds of feet, right? So you might get a chance to hit your friend there, or not your friend, but your enemy.
Your friend.
Your fighting friends. Yeah, but the thing is, it's made of lead. So if it hit you, it could break and hit your sternum or femur or some bones. It could break and cause infection for sure. But then there's lead poisoning, so it can kill you. Yes.
How long does it take from the time you start loading it until you can fire it?
Well, I'm getting to that right now. A good soldier could load this up, set it up, and fire it 3 times in a minute. So about 20 seconds. So you load it. You wouldn't be firing that repetitionally. You'd load it, fire, shoot, crouch to reload. The other rank would fire. The next crouch to reload, and the other rank, and so on for hundreds of them. So we don't have antibiotics in that. So this was banned by the Geneva Convention later on because of its crudeness and lessened to a 2-sided. So now it works good on the musket, but the musket is 1734 Grenadier musket. It's a flintlock, muzzle loader. It's about 5 feet tall, 65 caliber. The ball is 62 caliber. So there's a little bit of play there, so it doesn't fetch up in the barrel and blow this thing up in your face after repetitious firing. So you'd to fire it, you take out a cartridge, and if you had any teeth, good chance you didn't, with your fingers. If you had teeth, you tear the end off with your teeth of the paper cartridge. Put powder in this pan, cover the pan over. Take the rest of your charge, pour it down the barrel, push the ball in the paper. The ball is in the paper cartridge at this period. So you push that all in, then you take this out, the ramrod, you pack it in nice and snugly down into the breech. So now it's loaded and it's on safety. And so you're pretty safe. You ever hear of going off half-cocked?
Yeah.
That's an expression that came from the musket. Your neighbor or family member is out of his mind, right, half the time. So you're going off nuts all the time. So that's where this came from. The spring wears, and it could go off, and if it's loaded, it could shoot someone. But in this case, probably not. Now, it's silver braid on your hat. You have an all red outfit, and then you have a blue coat over it. So with the buttons and so on, you'd have a musket. You have a sword. The sword is a little more than what they'd be carrying. They carry a little soldier sword, which was a symbol of their rank and so on. And you might need it. One of these tavern skirmishes, you might need it. You'd also have a bayonet.
Oh,
This is the deadly thing that hooks onto your musket here.
yeah.
This looks like a sight for lining this up and firing it, but in actuality, it's a lock for your bayonet. Previous to this, there was plug bayonet where you'd go in there and plug it off, and then you couldn't fire it. It was just a big spear then, right? It could be like 7 feet long, or 6.5. This would have been like that long at that time. So it was a 3-sided spike that would leave a 3-sided gash into you. You're not probably going to heal from that.
Know what uniform is all about, know the different colors, what they represent. The accoutrements they carry, and actually we'll try to get the musket to be loaded and fired. It's kind of hard with this large wind, but we'll try our best, and he'll be doing that for you. Cidade francesa. Everyone here is English speaking.
Going on, you've got a population here, a lot of civilians. So the soldiers, like I say, they're the police. 2 up there on the bridge there, that's pretty well what the group looked like. And they would help the civilians, you know, domestic squabbles. A lot of you people fight with your spouses and your family, right? And your neighbors. A lot of that going on. Then you got these other guys come here after being 4 to 6 weeks from Quebec down to St. Lawrence, or 4 to 6 weeks come from France, or probably 4 to 6 weeks coming up from the French West Indies. Once they get here, they're going to rock their world, right? A lot of music, a lot of drinking, a lot of gambling. So you ladies, you pretty little ladies there, you wouldn't wander the streets too much after dark.
Oh my.
You'd end up on a boat. You would end up on a boat possibly.
Oh my
drunk.
God.
It was, like I say, it was dangerous. So the soldiers would try to cut that out. So now when you get here and you're here for a while, you'd be a soldier, you could be a corporal or sergeant. You could be making a good pay of about 13 livres as a sergeant in the infantry. So they're the infantry, they're musketeers and so on. And if you're, you know a few languages, you know mathematics, a lot of mathematics for, you know, geometry and physics and stuff like this, and the trig actually a little bit for firing the cannons and making them accuracy, make them more accurate for hitting a target a couple kilometers away or a mile and a half. So you got to be dead on, because if you're not, there's somebody out there your enemy is, so they're going to shot you. So then you move into this department where you make a little bit more money. You might make 16 livres as a sergeant. So as a soldier, I should say. Then if you're promoted up to a sergeant, you make like 26 livres. That would be twice the leave of an infantry sergeant. So you're making good money in this department. So
I put more pictures in the between because then it's not too much story, and then I can watch some pictures and go back to the story again and see some beautiful view.
that's a lot of money, 9 livres. So the officers know this. So the young fellas would be drinking and gambling and having a great time here, wouldn't they?
Oh.
So the officers are thinking, can't have that. So you take 7.5 of that £9 to pay for your lodgings and your food supplies,
Oh.
your firewood and all that. So that leaves you with £1.5. Leaves you a little bit hungry. So now you got to do things. You got a 3-day cycle, whereas 4 p.m. you're here. Then you got 2 days off. Then you're living at the barracks, and you got to find something to do to make money, because you got to drink and carouse and have a good time here. So you have to work. So you go from being the police force to the construction force.
Ooh.
There's 4 kilometers of wall around the perimeter of this town, or 2.5 miles, depending on where you're from. So there's a lot of work. And you see all the stonework here and the walls. That's local stuff, and it's not Portland cement like we're all used to in our real world. It's limestone mortar. So the weather here, you're right on the ocean, a lot of dampness, freezing, thawing. It doesn't really want to hold that much. So in the spring there would be a lot of soldiers, a lot of construction workers with engineers and leaders that would help these guys to work. Now, the soldiers who are young and strong, as I mentioned, that's why they were chosen, they're going to be working on this wall.
Oh
Now,
my.
there's a lot of ships that come in the harbor because we are not self-sufficient. We're not allowed to be self-sufficient. The king believes that self-sufficiency leads to national rivalry. In other words, if you become self-sufficient, you become independent, and you may become an enemy instead of an ally in a time of war. Any of you from the this is a little earlier. This is a little earlier. So the thing is, that's the way it goes. We export fish. This is a fishing community here. There was about 2,500 people lived here in the wintertime. In the summertime, we're augmented by another 1,500 to 2,000 people. So there's a lot of people coming into our colony. And right around the harbor where you come in on your horseless carriage, that's where our fishing community would be. We'd catch and ship out about 30 million pounds of cod.
Wow.
Salt it, dry it, ship it out. There's a lot of Catholics live in this town.
That's the storage, the bunker for the storage of the munition.
Friday, Saturday, you fast from meat, eat fish. So that's 104 days a year, isn't it? Then you got
Yeah.
Lent. There's another 40 days, and then there's some more that I don't know. But I've been told there's like 175 of your 365 days that you fast. So you're eating fish a lot. Pretty healthy. And that would help to make them strong enough to work on the walls here. All rubble stone, mixed mortar, cut stone. Some of them were pretty avid guys. They were carpenters and that. Now, because we're not self-sufficient, we have a lot of ships coming in. So there was 24 taverns in our town. Picture that. It's like George Street in Newfoundland, down St. John's. There's about 100 there, right? Seriously.
This is the village with beautiful view. The soldier shop some wood. Then the military with the uniform and the fortress inside. This is the offshore residence. Bedroom, living room, kitchen, and storage. More pictures of the fortress inside and pictures of French soldier, houses. That's the governor desk, and the next is his house, meeting room, living and bedroom, and there is some picture of the old dresses, the costume for the time, beautiful dress, I say. Some broken dishes, pieces of the broken dishes. Dungeon and prison. That's the picture you see now.
The convent, so they pray for you. But we're all just essentially watching you die, right? So I'm going to go over here and see if this thing will fire.
Okay.
Great lucky, I have my light pens on it.
I want to see that fire.
Just go to the grass there.
Uh-huh.
We'll see if this thing is going to function. They didn't really have those. There weren't a lot of glasses on any level. You get the clip on your nose. There you have it. Yeah. Luckily I got a couple of teeth. Run this up. Put some powder in this pan. Cover it over. Very thin barrel. And then I don't have a ball in here because it might hit me in your friend. Remember
Okay.
I talked about the gambling? The gamble.
Ah, okay.
So you don't have many friends, right?
Yeah.
So So on the count of 3, we'll pull the trigger. 1, 2, and
Holy. Ooh.